And we'll get started. I'm McNew. If you guys don't know me, I'll be your host this evening, and we're going to walk through these samples. The only thing they all have in common is, well, that they're bourbons and that they are they're all whiskeys, and that they're finished. So they're finished in a port cask, some kind of cask. So we're going to walk through these. I like to start by lowest proof and go up. So if you guys want to open that Gold Bar Root House bourbon, it's 103 proof. And it's from Gold Bar Spirits out of California. And this one was finished in French oak staves. And it's an 80% corn, 20% rye mash bill. What do you guys think on the nose on this one?
You get mesquite.
Yeah, there's a little smoky element there,
A little
isn't there?
smoky,
Yeah.
sweetness.
It smells like vanilla. It's got a caramely vanilla smell, I think.
Okay.
Caramelly smoky bubble gum.
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting.
Brick house.
Should we take a sip of this now?
Yeah, go ahead and take some sips. Let me know what you think. I'm just keeping notes down because I actually don't have the samples right now. So let me know what you guys think. I'm going to make notes and yeah.
It has bite.
Everything to be.
Maybe we should get a glass of water and a straw, so if we want to add some of that.
That's true.
Yeah, we're in the same cup.
I'm spilling butter everywhere. So what do we think flavor-wise on this one?
I like it.
It starts smooth, but it's got a bite at the end.
Okay.
Yeah. It's real sweet. It's probably the rye.
Yeah.
Yeah, see the straws over there? Oh, yeah.
I want a glass like that.
Ed, what do you think?
No, I still get sort of a strange fruitiness that I was trying to sort out. I mean, it's mixed in with some of the caramel, and it has a really long finish, I think, for 103 proof. I mean, it does keep going like with that burnt
Okay.
pepper. I can't really sort out what that flavor is. I mean, it's some sort of like a almost juicy fruit sort of mixed in with like some wood, I think. So that, which I guess would make sense since it's got the finishing staves.
Yeah.
What did the French oak staves do before they were in this? Were they from a barrel of something else?
It did not say, and I don't know that it acted like they just ran the bourbon over the French oak stave. So I actually don't think it spent that much time with them.
Yeah, I thought that bottle was interesting. I actually bought a bottle of it because it looks just like it's the exact same bottle as St. Cloud.
Yeah, it looks so much like that.
And yeah. So and interestingly, at the place I bought it, they had it on the shelf immediately below the St. Cloud. So it was.
Oh, well, that gets confusing too if you're not looking.
Yeah.
I actually talked to the St. Cloud guy because, I mean, it's a completely different sort of line of whiskeys than he's going for. So to get grand confusion would be not good for him.
Right.
His price point is fairly high.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Bob, what do you think of this one?
It's got a dried fruit flavor to it on the back end. I want to say prunes, but that's probably
No, you're spot on. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Prunes on the back end. Interesting. Albert, what do you think?
Yeah, dried fruit, like I get a little plummy. Maybe it's prunes. I don't know.
Like a dark fruit, like
dark
dried
fruit, yeah.
fruit.
And I
Okay.
get a lot of wood. You know, you say a short period of time, just run over oak staves. I mean, I get like a lot of wood, so I would have think that it would have spent a little more time,
Okay, yeah.
but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, from their description, it acted like it didn't spend a lot of time, but it never specified. So
Really?
who knows how much time it did spend with the staves.
It's pretty dark, actually.
Yeah.
Now I get like a little dried apricot, I think. Apricot sort of mixed in with that wood. Towards the end.
Okay, yeah.
I really like it though. I mean, it's got a unique, I don't know. I don't drink a lot of finished. It's kind of why I'm here.
Yeah, the finisher, they kind of are a whole different flavor profile than what you're used to. All right, let's set this one aside, save a little bit because we always come back to them at the end. Next up is the Spirits of French Lick, the Unpretentious. This one's a 2-year-old high rye. It was originally aged in New American oak barrels and finished in a port wine cask. And it was 53 ABV, so it's 106 proof. Its mash bills 55% corn, 35% rye, 10% malt, and it was only available in their gift shop.
Wow. So, you know, we like it. We're not going to see it anywhere.
Right. So the master distiller Alan Bishop had jokes that it's like super crazy on the secondary market. He just read that forever.
Yeah, I think he was saying like $42 a shot or something.
Yeah, and then like $5,000 a bottle, something crazy.
I'm confident that that's a joke, but a running joke.
Oh yeah, I hope it is.
Knowing that
But
Alan
yeah.
really doesn't like stuff like this, or you know, he never want to do anything because there's plenty of stuff plenty of people doing finished whiskeys. I don't need to, so I just never got into it. I said, "Who twisted your arm to do this?" He said, "Well, it was I think a restaurant that approached them. They had a finished bourbon, and their source dried up. So they went to him and said, could you come up with something like this? Try to match it." And this is what he came up with.
Yeah, and he has the perfect setup to do finished bourbons because they're in there with the winery. He has access to so many wine barrels when they're emptied.
And then there was a bourbon club that found out about it, and they wanted a barrel of it. We had 2 barrels of this stuff, and then both of them back at the last minute backed out of it.
Oh no!
So it's like,
so then he just released it.
what am I going to do with this stuff?
Yeah, and then the name was great,
Well,
Unpretentious.
they want to sell in the gift shop.
Yeah. All right, Kent Mace, what do you think of this one? And I didn't know if you've had it before or not, or if it's your first time with it.
It's my first time. I have,
Okay.
I suppose we have a bottle that I've yet to get, so we'll see how that goes. So on the nose, the first thing that hit me was a bit of tobacco, but it was quickly filled with like raisins. I smell raisins. On the taste, I've still got that tobacco and leather. Those are my predominant ones. I haven't really pushed too much farther than that. There's a lot more after that, but that's what I got so far.
Okay, sounds good. Paul Bradley, what are you getting?
Well, when he said raisins, that triggered it for me. I smelled something just like that.
Okay. So raisins, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And that might just be because of the port barrel, I think. Gravy raisins.
We're on mute, but Jackie said raisins before any of you guys did.
Oh, perfect. Raisins for you guys. Perfect. Anything else you guys get, Jackie and Alan?
Trying to figure it out.
Okay. All right, anybody else like tobacco, raisins, Those actually sound delicious.
Yeah, I get a lot of leather tobacco on the nose, but on the palate, to me, it was more of like I guess raisin can encompass it, but it was more of like a grape, but it's like a grape chocolate, like almost like a grape Tootsie Pop almost. Like there's definitely some
Okay.
like chocolate or cocoa hints on the finish for me.
Probably the malt.
That would make sense.
No, I'm with you, Paul. I get like a grape marmalade. It's not a jelly. It's a heavier, heavier consistency. It's more richer and sweet when it comes down to it. But this thing is spectacular. For finished whiskey, this is what you want.
Mm-hmm.
This stuff has a killer lingering finish too.
Yep.
I think that's Alan's FU. Right there.
Yeah. Just hangs
I'm sticking
around.
around. You'll
Not
remember
going
me after this.
anywhere.
I told him, I said, for somebody who doesn't like to do stuff like this, I said, you're sure knocked it out of the park.
Yeah. But you know, he's a guy that just can't do anything bad. So whatever he makes, whether he wants to or not, it's gonna be great. Okay, let's set this one aside and we'll move on to our last one. Like I said, we always run back through these at the end of the night as well. The next one up is a Maker's Mark pick from the Missouri Whiskey Society. And it comes in at 107.6 proof. And I was actually surprised to see a Maker's Mark pick be the highest proof of the evening, to be honest. And the staves they picked were Baked American, Pure 2, Seared French Cuvée, Maker's 46 stave, Roasted French Mocha, and Toasted French Spice.
Wow.
They had 5 different staves they picked.
Is anybody else picking up country ham?
Like the Booker's Country Ham.
Yeah.
That is
There's
such a
crickets
vibrant.
there, Mr. Bill.
That's a vibrant nose for a Maker's Mark.
I think I like the Maker's Mark the best.
Yeah.
I like the nose the best.
Hey, what are you guys
It's
getting on the
big.
nose for this one?
Oh, hold on.
Yeah, this is definitely the best. No, this is good.
Oh, don't be scared. It's good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is good. Show your face.
There's your vanillas, and there's like a grape or like a strawberry jam in there too.
Okay.
It's a lighter fruit. It's lively.
Yeah, I get like a green or a green grape, like a light grape, and like cinnamon and vanilla. It's very different, but very bright, like you said. Yeah.
So probably like an easy drinker.
Oof. Except for the finish.
What's the finish like?
Just lets you know it's there. I mean,
It's
that's
Yeah.
that's really
Big Kentucky hug.
Nice Kentucky hug.
well, that's fantastic mouth, and then it finishes big. Yeah.
I mean, it's got more of the classic bourbon flavors, I think, than the others. I mean, as we expect, I guess. You get
Okay, yeah.
the vanilla and caramel up front, and then some vanilla, oak, and some like light sweet apple juice, I think, in the taste for me.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good.
Nice. Anybody else want to share? What's everybody else getting? Just jump in. And there's no wrong answers, obviously.
The group here in Massachusetts thinks that this is the best.
Okay. What flavors are you guys getting? Like any specific notes?
It's sweet and I like it because it's not, the other ones tasted thick to me. This doesn't taste, it doesn't have like a thick texture.
It's like less viscous, like more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no bite serious bite to it. It's nice and smooth.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, well, let's hang on to this one a little bit. Drink some water, clear your palates if you want to, and we're gonna run through this gold bar again.
Do you know what do they make the gold bar, the Rick House or whatever it's called, or did they source it? Because I mean, one difference, I mean, Allen's is the pot still, right? So I mean, that's got more of the oily flavor compared to the makers. So that's
Let me check on this. Gold bar. I wasn't sure if they were sourcing or not. For some reason, I thought they were, but let me double check.
They're in California, aren't they?
Yes, they are in California.
I think they
Excellent.
are. I think I read before where they are sourcing.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna guess they're sourcing because on their website it says master blender, not master distiller. So I'm gonna take a solid guess that they are sourcing right now.
You have the bottle. You don't have the bottle.
No, I don't. Steve has the bottles.
She doesn't even have her samples.
I don't even have my samples today. Having a Monday for sure. I'm just like drinking basic things over here while you guys have good things.
It depends on what you're calling basic.
Basil Hayden's.
Like you're close to another bottle kill.
I'm getting there. Like, so I started that show to like get rid of bottles when it became a problem because now I'm just like purposely getting rid of bottles. So it's created a new problem.
I just started pouring stuff together.
Oh, okay. Well, what the hell's that going?
Well, you know, it's like an infinity bottle.
Yeah. I never got into that. Like I have so many empty decanters that I guess we should have, but I've never done it.
I always tried to do it, but it's like the stuff that I like, I want to finish. I don't want to
Right.
And then the stuff that you don't like, you don't want to mix with other stuff and make it bring it down.
It's like, am I gonna ruin it or what if I throw it in there? I don't want to do that.
That's what mine's largely become. It's like things that I didn't want to finish.
Yeah.
Maybe we get when they're together though. We'll see.
Do you guys ever go back and like try the infinity bottle or are you getting it full first?
Yeah. No, I had mine about half full and I started tasting it. And I was like, yeah, that turned out pretty good.
Oh, okay. Good. I'm afraid to do it. All right, back to this gold bar. Did it open up or change at all?
Like pipe smoke.
Okay.
I'm getting pipe smoke tobacco on this one now.
Yeah, and somebody said smoky mesquite earlier, so the smoke stayed.
I think all those flavors are way more obvious now after the makers because the maker had the sort of smoother flavor.
Yeah, so it's probably going to bring out like those smokier, more dense flavors.
Yeah, it really does.
Like, did the back end change? Because I know the first time around somebody said there's a little bit of a bite on the back end. Did it change at all?
I'm getting more tobacco now than before.
Okay.
And not a really pleasant way either.
Unpleasant tobacco.
Yeah, and I mean, I get the same. I get tons of pipe smoke on the nose, but yeah, it's like almost like a pipe smoke or sitting around the campfire drinking, you know, but in a good way for me. I mean, I like that, you know, not peat smoke, but that like campfire smokiness. That's coming through this time around on the palate, and I like it a lot.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I really would have liked to have done these blind because I'm really getting pulled by knowing what they are.
Right.
And I would have liked to have tasted all of them without knowing what any of them were.
Yeah, so Nate's samples are on the way. So you guys can pour those when he gets his and do them blind together.
There you go.
So you're good to go with that.
Nate's like, yeah, great. So not
Nate's
only
like,
do
oh,
I
now
not
I
get
gotta
them
share
tonight,
mine.
then I gotta share
Yeah.
them.
Nate actually got his. It's Nick's that didn't arrive. So
Oh, okay. Okay. Well,
Thank you,
dang
Mark.
it. So you still have one coming, hopefully. So maybe you guys can do those blind, because I agree, like probably doing them blind, you're gonna maybe appreciate them a little differently.
Right.
the thing about it, the Maker's Mark doesn't taste like Maker's Mark.
Right.
Allen's doesn't taste like anything Allen does.
Mhm.
Well, I've never tasted the other one before, so I couldn't have really put any of, I couldn't have put the first two or the last two together knowing who they were. But now knowing who they are, I'm like, well, Allen's tastes pretty cool because he's cool. And
Right. Right. But yeah, had you done them blind, you might be like, what the hell is this?
grapes, what the heck?
Why are there grapes in my bourbon? Yeah, definitely get that. All right, let's take a drink, water, whatever you're drinking in between. Let's go back to that Spirits of French Lick and see if it opened up or changed, or maybe it probably stayed the same.
This nose still thinks that you're putting your grapes before your grains.
Okay.
It nose is like a wine. It really does. Like a really. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, so that port barrel is like
Wine,
really standing out.
it's really influenced it. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think even more so now. I agree. I mean, it's now it's totally.
That it's set open a while. What's our Massachusetts group think? Do you guys like this one this time around?
We're still fans of the Maker's Mark.
Okay. The other two haven't grown on you over time.
No, not yet. I like the smell of the first one. We really do like the smell of it.
Okay.
But it's got a bite at the end of it. I'm not a fan of.
Okay.
What's the mash bill on this one again?
Yeah, it is 55% corn, 35% rye, 10% malt.
So what causes that bite at the back end of that first one?
Really good.
It could just be the tannins, or
I'd put that at the French oak. That French oak brings a spiciness into whiskeys that you just can't place. It's weird.
yeah, I would say
the way
like
that French oak that brings
tannins.
in.
Yeah,
It's probably the combination with the rye with that French oak as well.
Yep.
true. Yeah.
Do we know how old that first one is? We don't know anything about the Rick House, do we?
Yeah, no, it was hard to get information on for that one. So I don't have an age on it, and I don't know how long it actually spent with the staves. I just know it's mash bill. It's just like a 80% corn, 20% rye, 103 proof is the most information it got.
That makes it hard to figure out where it's sourced from, because that's not like a normal mash bill.
80-20.
I know. And I think that they probably didn't want you to know.
No.
Do they have the DSP numbers on there?
Not that I saw. I could probably look those up if I found them.
Right.
Yeah, and if I had the bottle, you could see where it's, late or distilled by or bottled by, whatever.
Good old TTB site generally doesn't lie too much. Be able to track that down.
Well, I can go get the bottle if I can find it.
Yeah. Yeah, you have it somewhere.
I think I know where it is.
I'm really liking this one on the second time around much better. I liked it before, but the finish to me was a little short before, but now it's opened up, and I really like this one a lot now.
All right, awesome. Nate and Robert Mace, you guys got your samples right. So let me know what you're thinking about this one.
So the first time through tasting all these, I don't know if like allergies or something, but I wasn't really getting anything. But the second time through, they're really, I don't know if they're opening up or what, but this one, the nose, it reminds me of like taking communion or something.
What, wine?
Well, mixed with like both the grape juice and the cracker thing with it. I don't know.
Okay. Let's see that.
Alan will love that. You're going to his church.
Yeah, the Church of Alan Bishop.
So it says Robert Mace there, but that's Nick. We call
That's
him.
Nick. Sorry, I was okay.
He's good. This one has the most complexity to me. It's got a lot of different things going on there. And I already cheated. I went back to the Maker's Mark, and the first time through Maker's Mark was, wow, it had a really cool start to it, and it had a lot of flavors that I don't necessarily associate with the Maker's Mark. Second time through, it kind of tastes like Maker's Mark to me. So
yeah,
I was going to say the same thing. The nose flattened on me.
yeah.
Second time, once that oxygen hit it, some more love. The nose flattened. It's not as intense. And yeah, there's some traditional makers there where the staves are getting lost.
okay. So the more it said, the more makers it became.
Difference from a pot still to a column.
Yep, absolutely. Ed, did you find that bottle?
Yeah, so it doesn't, well, interestingly, it actually says it's triple copper pot distilled. So it's not coming from someplace big, but there's no more information. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I can barely read on here, but
yeah,
it really identifies where it came from. But I mean, their whole name, Gold Bar Bottle Company and stuff like that would certainly imply that they didn't distill it, but I can't find any identifying information of where it was distilled. It is a pretty bottle though.
I love that all of their packaging on all their products is phenomenal, but it is a good looking bottle.
That's why it's a specialty spirit. It can get away with a little bit more.
Yeah, it gets to be fancy. All right, if you haven't jumped back into that Maker's Mark, go ahead. Let me know what you think about it.
What are your tasting notes on the Basil Peyton?
I guess it's basic. It's 80 proof. It's just not what I'm used to anymore.
So question on these opening up a little bit. You know, we do that with wines. Should we be doing that with our other spirits as well, as letting them sit a little bit as the evening goes on and drink?
A lot of bourbon drinkers like to like just pour a dram, like walk away for 10 minutes and come back to it. It does open up the flavors and palate a lot more. It's not necessary, but people do like to do that.
It does seem like it's making a difference, at least on the second one that we had.
Well, the bottles will change after they've been open for a while too. So, you know, a lot of times it's going to taste harsh and the flavors won't all mix together well. So if you don't like something, I mean, just come back to it. I mean, I've had things that 6 months later, that's things that I didn't like when I first opened them, after just putting them aside and coming back to them eventually, you know, they've just changed a lot. So, you know, it does oxidize or do whatever it does. Maybe not as rapidly as wine or anything, but it definitely changes, and usually for the better. I find.
Yeah. Like I've had bottles I've absolutely thought were terrible, left them on the shelf 3 to 6 months, come back to it for whatever reason, and then I'm like, oh, this is great now. It just took it a while to do whatever it needed to do. And like you'll hear people say like, oh, neck pours, like the first pour in the bottle, they'll call it a neck pour, say it's awful. But then when you get past that, it's the way that it should taste.
But if you get past the shoulders at that same time, you know you're in for a long day the next day.
That's very true. You gotta spread those out.
Further down the shoulder you get, it's gonna be a good evening.
Yeah. Not a good morning though, if you have to go to
Not
work.
a good morning. 2 Advil and a lot of water and you'll be good to go.
Yep.
Sure smell a lot of wheat in it now.
In the makers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Paul, you hit it best. That's the difference between a column still and a pot still. There's your tasting difference there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you're right.
All right, so we always do like to vote on these at the end. It's just an unofficial vote. If the makers was your favorite, raise your hand. No, 1, 2, 3. Okay, if the Spirits of French Lick was your favorite, raise your hand. All right, and Gold Bar. Okay.
Oh,
Oh, gonna give a piggy vote in there now. Yeah, so Maker's
vote.
Mark, clearly a winner. Spirits of French Lick, definitely doing cool things over there too.
Yep.
The Gold Bar, it just still has that weird wang at the front. I can't
Yeah.
figure
And
out.
I wonder almost like because they're California based, if they have more of like just a
Small?
wine influence from like their air or wherever they're raising these barrels, like I don't know, just different flavors from the area.
It's something I've smelled, but I cannot put my finger on it at all.
Hmm.
The juicy fruit really threw me off, though, by the way.
So are there some bourbons that taste better with food?
Yeah, I would say so. People do like to pair them like of like a lot of like red meat eaters, steak guys. The people that like to smoke meat definitely like pairing it with bourbon. I'm not well educated in that world, but if there's anybody on here who is, feel free to jump on.
I think it goes great with barbecue.
Okay.
Anything,
Yeah.
any meat you throw on the barbecue, it's got that smokiness a little bit. Yeah.
Mhm.
Just dried fruit and dark chocolate. Awesome.
Oh yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I love it with chocolate.
I don't know very much about it, but I've just recently joined this restaurant's bourbon club, and the woman that owns it's a chef that's pretty popular in Lexington, and she owns a bunch of different restaurants, and they're going to be doing pairing type tastings. So this week there's actually a bourbon and cheese tasting, so different bourbons with different cheeses. So in another year or two, maybe I'll actually know something about them.
That actually sounds so fun. I love that idea.
Well, and it's interesting because it's a chef and a bourbon person sort of combining together to lead these tastings, and she picks out the food that she thinks goes with the bourbon. And she actually used to do that for Woodford, so she's got a long history of doing that. She was their house, chef, whatever, I don't know, chef in residence or whatever.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. Like I know like wine people have been doing it forever. Like red wine goes with this, white wine goes with that, and they figured it out. So I would love for bourbon to be able to do that too.
No, I'm excited about that because it's not something that you ever really get to do. I mean, nobody knows enough about food. Well, somebody does, but I don't know enough about food and bourbon to do it. And so it's cool to experience.
Yeah, and to have somebody that like picks out those flavors like so perfectly where you're like, oh yeah, that does go together. I don't know why, but it does. And that's great when you get to experience it.
Cheeses and chocolate go real well with most bourbons.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it too, you have like Brown Foreman tends to get a lot of banana.
Yeah.
So you have consistent flavors that you tend to different flavor notes like Brown Foreman, so Woodford Reserve or Old Forester specifically, you'll get a lot of banana and some of that type of fruit. Woodford Reserve will get more mocha and chocolate. Jim Beam products, you're going to get a lot of peanuts or nuttiness. So you try to balance that out. What flavor am I missing in that dessert, or what flavor am I missing in that meal that I want to add in? With knowing some of the traditional things that you normally get from the whiskeys that you love, that's what you would add in to complete that element into that. So like with barbecue, with barbecue sauce with spice, I try to stay away from high rye whiskeys. I'll go to a wheated whiskey like a Maker's Mark or a Larceny or something like that to counterbalance that spice, to soften it up with that wheat flavor, that more sweet at the tip of the tongue while the barbecue's getting the back of the palate, balance it out, or lower rye based. So like an unpretentious at 35% rye, I'd be looking at 20% at most in that mash bill.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense
first.
because you don't want to overwhelm the palate with like too much spice or too much sweet. So yeah, that balance makes sense.
Like chicken or fish or something like that, I'd add spice with that. With more of the red meats, I'd add a wheated bourbon to sweeten it out. Just the flavor around or add something that wouldn't be in there normally.
Yeah, Tim, I agree. I do a lot of wheated bourbons with like steak marinades and pork marinades, but I do when I do like fish marinades, like if I'm doing like some kind of like a whitefish or something like that, I like to marinate them with citrus. I like rye because rye has that dill and that spearmint, and so I do throw a little bit of rye in the marinade, and that works well with fish for me.
No, and any of the flavored moonshines, like I lean towards caramel flavored whiskeys or anything like that go for like baked beans or desserts or anything like that, or like if you want to candy something, you mix that in the brown sugar or something like that with that caramel flavor to really pop it, and the alcohol flares off, and you're leaving with the flavor of the grains that are left over with that flavored whiskey too. That extra caramel color and the caramel flavor just pops, and it's very, very unique.
I would like to do a 10-course meal with Tim.
Yeah,
Hey.
Tim, do a meal for us.
We could add that to the list of private and corporate event options then. I got to start adding them more to the website.
I love that. Love it.
We're working on pairing cigars too as well, so that's at some point in time here as well.
Yeah, you just got certified in cigars not too long ago, right?
Correct.
Awesome.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun. A lot of study time, especially when you're looking at 1.5 to 2 hour cigars as part of the whole thing. That's a whole time investment. But got to drink a lot of whiskey to pair that with. Not too
Oh
shabby.
my goodness.
You
Sounds
spent
like a dream
lot of
job.
weekends and late nights on that.
It was great to not have to work the next morning, I will tell you that. That's
Yeah,
a Friday
imagine.
night and a Saturday night, and then you're rolling into Sunday thinking, okay, well now I got to get some work done. Actually, be a dad fucking father.
Right.
And a husband. I can't be a waste of space the next day.
Still got to be productive. All right, I'm going to turn off the recording because we're done with the tasting, but we're all welcome to still hang